They say there's a house on Maple Street that watches you. Not like metaphorically. I mean it. The old folks in town call it number 13. Even though the city removed its address from the records a long time ago, it just skips from 11 to 15 now. Officially, it doesn't exist, but it's there. Still standing. Still waiting. When Aaron dared us to break in that night, I laughed. Nervous as hell, but I laughed anyway. Because that's what you do when your best friend Double Dog dares you in front of the rest of the crew. Tasha clapped her hands like a damn seal, and Marcus already had his camera out, battery fully charged, memory card empty and ready. This was going to be our biggest video yet. Abandoned places. The truth behind number 13. We weren't ghost hunters or anything. Just 4 broke college kids trying to get a viral video and maybe make enough money to cover rent. Or, in Marcus's case, beer. I remember standing in front of that house and feeling weird. The kind of weird you get when someone's staring at you for too long and you can't figure out where it's coming from. The air around the place felt heavy. Not cold, not warm, just wrong. Like it didn't belong in the same world as the rest of the town. The windows were all intact, but the curtains inside had rotted into gray strips. Ivy clung to the bricks like it was trying to choke the house to death. And the front door, it was open. Not wide open, just a sliver, like someone was waiting for us. "Yo, Jamie," Marcus said, tossing me the flashlight. "Your lead. Go say hi." I swallowed hard, but I didn't back down. I wasn't about to be the one to chicken out. Not with Erin grinning behind me. That spark in her eye like she was about to witness something insane. So I stepped onto the porch, careful not to let the wood creak too loudly. The door swung inward before I even touched it. Erin gasped. "That was wind, right?"
Tot Ali, Elite.
Inside, the house smelled like old paper and forgotten time. There was furniture, old and dusty, but still there. A cracked floral couch, a broken coffee table, a piano with yellowed keys in the corner of the room. It didn't feel abandoned, it felt paused. Like someone had just stepped out and forgot to lock the door. Tasha whispered behind me. "This is way creepier than I thought it'd be." Marcus panned the camera around. "Keep talking like that. Good audio for the video." We explored the first floor together. The living room, the dining room, a kitchen that smelled faintly of burnt toast and something sour beneath it. Erin opened a drawer and jumped when a rat scurried out. I caught it on camera. She screamed, then laughed, then flipped me off. But then, things started getting weird. Not horror movie weird, just enough to make your skin itch. The hallway behind the kitchen was longer than it should have been. I'm talking geometrically impossible. From the outside, the house looked like a modest 2-story place. But that hallway stretched deeper, and when we turned back to see how far we'd gone, the kitchen was gone. Literally gone. "Okay," Marcus said, lowering the camera. "That's trippy." We laughed it off again. Nervous laughter. The kind you do when you're trying to convince yourself everything's fine. I told them maybe there were hidden additions to the house, old construction, or weird layouts. I was lying, but no one wanted to admit that. That's when Erin heard it. "Did someone just say my name?" she whispered. We all froze. Tasha shook her head.
No.
None of us said anything. "I'm serious," Erin insisted. It was quiet, like it came from the wall. Marcus walked over and tapped on the wooden paneling. "Hollow. Maybe someone's pranking us. What if the town set this whole thing up to freak us out? No one knew we were coming," I reminded him. "We didn't even know we were coming until Erin dared us." But Erin wasn't listening anymore. She pressed her ear to the wall, then jerked back like she'd been burned. I heard it again. It whispered my name. We stood there in silence. The kind that squeezes your chest and makes you feel like breathing too loudly will wake something up. That's when the flashlight flickered. Once, twice, then died. Marcus cursed and banged it against his palm. Great. Real spooky vibes now. I turned to look for Tasha and realized she wasn't there. "Tash," I called. No answer. The others looked around, confused. We all swore she'd been right behind us. Erin called her name. Marcus jogged back down the hallway. his footsteps echoing too loud in the narrow space. Nothing. No reply. No sign of her. Just silence. And then, faint, a very faint, I swear I heard it too. A whisper, calling my name. Tasha. We fanned out, calling her name down the corridor. Erin's voice cracked a little. She was trying not to panic, but I could see her eyes darting around like a trapped animal's. Marcus kept the camera rolling, but even he was quieter now, less cocky than he'd been 20 minutes ago. The hallway had changed. It wasn't just longer, it was darker. The kind of dark that swallowed the weak beam of his LED light like it was nothing. I swear she was right behind me, I said, more to myself than anyone. Maybe she went upstairs, Marcus offered. Tried to prank us. She wouldn't do that, Erin snapped. Not in this place. She was right. Tasha was the one who got freaked out watching paranormal activity with the lights off. She wouldn't just wander off in a house like this. Not without saying something. We moved back to the main living area, but the moment we stepped through the threshold, I knew something was off. The furniture was the same, but it wasn't in the same place. The couch had shifted. The piano bench was gone. And the front door, the one that had creaked open when we arrived, it was gone. Not closed. Gone. As if the wall had always been there. Erin reached out and touched the spot where it used to be, fingers trembling.
No.
No, this was a door. We came through here. I remember. I turned to Marcus. Tell me you're seeing this on the footage. He looked down at the screen. His brow furrowed. There's static. It's glitching. It was working before. Erin let out a sharp breath and pointed. Wait there. A flicker. Down the hallway. Just for a second, like a shadow slipping past a doorway. We took off running. The house twisted under our feet. That's the only way I can describe it. One moment we were on wooden floorboards. The next it was black and white checkered tile like some twisted version of a kitchen. Doors lined the hallway, none of which we'd seen before, and they all looked wrong. Like props on a haunted house set. Too tall, too narrow. Handles where there shouldn't be handles. One of them had a peephole, but it blinked when we passed it. We stopped at a door that was slightly open. A dull light flickered from inside. Jamie, Erin whispered, clutching my sleeve. We shouldn't go in there, but we did. Of course we did. Inside was a bedroom, child-sized, pink wallpaper, frayed at the edges. A single bed with a crooked canopy, stuffed animals neatly arranged on top, their eyes all fixed on the door. There were drawings taped to the walls, crayon scribbles of stick figures under gray clouds, one of a house on fire, another with a girl drawn in red crayon standing all alone. That's when we saw it, Tasha's phone, lying on the dresser, still recording. I grabbed it. The screen was cracked, but the video was still playing. I hit replay and watched the last few seconds. She had been filming herself walking through what looked like the hallway, her voice low. I thought I heard someone say my name. You guys better not be screwing with me. Wait, what is that? The footage tilted. There was a noise, like breathing, but too close, like someone exhaling directly onto the mic. Then the screen shook violently. The phone fell, and just before it landed, a face, not Tasha's, something pale and wrong, stretched too thin, eyes black as the gap beneath a bed when you're too scared to look. Then darkness. I shut the video off. We need to leave, I said. But how? Erin's voice was barely a whisper. We tried the doors, one after another, all locked, all wrong. One of them opened into a closet full of dolls, all of them headless. Another led back into the kitchen, except the kitchen had changed, too. The cabinets were upside down. The fridge door was swinging open, humming a low, guttural tone. Then came the whisper again, louder this time, closer. Jamie, came from the wall. Erin screamed. I spun around and grabbed her hand, dragging her out of the kitchen and down the hall again. Marcus followed, breathing hard, the camera jerking wildly in his hand. We turned a corner and ran straight into a staircase that hadn't been there before. Not like a new staircase, more like an old one we'd missed. But that wasn't possible. We'd been here. We'd looked. This wasn't here. Basement? Marcus asked, hesitating. No, I said quickly. We go up, never down. So we climbed. The stairs groaned beneath our feet. Every step echoed like it was falling down an endless shaft behind us. I counted them, 37 steps, in a 2-story house. That didn't make any sense. But when we reached the top, we weren't in an attic. We were in a hallway, exactly like the one below, except this one had mirrors, dozens of them, floor to ceiling, covering the walls, some tall and thin, others fat and cracked. None of them reflected us quite right. I looked into the one on my left and saw myself standing still, but my reflection was smiling, even though I wasn't. Jamie? Aaron said, clutching my arm. I turned. The mirror across from us was showing something else entirely. Tasha, standing in a room of darkness, staring back at us, eyes wide, mouth open in a silent scream. Tasha, I whispered, stepping closer to the mirror. She didn't move, just stood there, locked in that silent scream, as if frozen in some moment we weren't supposed to see. Her eyes begged for something, help maybe, but there was something else too. Something behind her. A shadow. Tall. Wrong. Shifting in place like smoke that had forgotten how to rise. Then, thud. The mirror cracked from the inside. We all jumped back. Aaron let out a sharp gasp and clutched my arm tighter. Marcus raised the camera and whispered, Jesus, what is this place? The mirror splintered again, spiderwebbing out from the spot where Tasha's palm was now pressed against the glass. She wasn't just looking at us anymore. She was pounding. I didn't think. I reached out and touched the mirror where her hand met mine. It was cold, so cold it felt alive. And then, darkness, like blinking and finding the world turned off. The hallway vanished. Aaron's grip disappeared. Marcus's voice cut mid-word. And I was alone. I wasn't standing anymore. I was falling, weightless, spinning. Then, thud. I hit something soft, like carpet. Dust filled my mouth and nose. I gagged, coughed, blinked until I could see shapes. A dim, reddish light flickered overhead. I was in a room, a different one. Walls covered in peeling floral wallpaper. A rocking chair in the corner, creaking slowly on its own.
No windows.
One door closed, and in the center of the room, Tasha, curled into herself, shaking. Tash! I breathed, crawling toward her. Hey, look at me. It's Jamie. You're okay. She looked up, and the second our eyes met, something clicked. Reality didn't snap back. It shuddered, like the room was a painted backdrop that almost tore when she recognized me. Her face was pale, tear-streaked. She tried to speak but only managed a rasp. They won't let me out, she whispered. Who? She pointed at the ceiling. I looked up. Nothing, just wood beams and shadows. And yet, something moved, slowly, like it didn't care that I was watching. Come on, I said, grabbing her arm. We're leaving. Now. She hesitated, terrified, but stood. Her hand trembled in mine. Together, we went to the door. I reached for the knob, turned before I touched it, swung open on its own. And on the other side, not the hallway, not the house, the mirrors. We were back in the mirrored hall, but from the other side. I could see Aaron and Marcus standing outside, watching us. Marcus's jaw dropped. Aaron covered her mouth. I waved, but they didn't wave back, because from their perspective, we weren't waving. We were screaming. Our reflections, if that's what they were, had their mouths wide open, hands slapping the glass, distorted in silent agony. We're not in the same place, Tasha whispered, her voice small and tight. She was right. Whatever this was, it wasn't real. Or maybe it was too real. The mirror nearest me shifted. The image inside shimmered and melted, revealing another room entirely. A hallway of doors, each with names carved into them. Names I recognized. My name, Aaron's name, Marcus, even Tasha, and one last door. No name, just a symbol burned into the wood like it had been branded there. A spiral that looped inward, tighter and tighter, until it disappeared into a single black dot. I didn't want to open that door, but I knew we would, because this place, it didn't work like the normal world. We weren't following a path. We were being pulled. "Tasha," I said, "when you got separated from us, what happened?" She didn't answer right away. She stared at the spiral door, breathing hard. "They talked to me," she finally said. "Not with voices, not out loud. In my head, they showed me things." "What things?" She looked at me, and her eyes were full of sorrow. "You, Aaron, Marcus, screaming, and me watching, from inside a wall, just like before." The room shifted. The mirrors began to flicker. The whispers started again, louder now. My name, Tasha's, Aaron's, then a new one, a name I didn't recognize. "Alara." Tasha went pale. I turned to her. "Who's Alara?" She didn't answer, but the spiral door began to open, slowly, silently, and whatever was on the other side was breathing. The door creaked open with a sound like bones grinding. Not wood, not hinges. It was organic somehow, alive. I didn't want to move. My body screamed at me to run, to pull Tasha back and find another way. But it was too late. The spiral door opened on its own, inch by inch, revealing only darkness. "Tasha," I whispered, "we don't have to go in." But she was already walking, like something was pulling her. Her hand slipped from mine, slow and sure, like she didn't even notice. Her eyes weren't scared anymore. They were vacant, like she was remembering something too big to hold in her head. "Tasha," I called, stepping after her. She vanished past the threshold. I followed, because of course I did. Inside, the air was colder. Not the kind of cold that makes your breath fog, but the kind that makes your bones ache. It was pitch black at first. Then, slowly, the darkness peeled away, revealing something I didn't expect. A room. Just a room. Old-fashioned. Victorian maybe. Wallpapered in a faded gray pattern. A crib in the corner. Rocking chair beside it. Dust thick on every surface. The walls groaned as if breathing in time with something beneath us. And there, in the center of the room, a name carved into the wooden floorboards. Alara. Tasha stood staring at it. "I know this room," she said softly. "What do you mean?" She walked to the crib, reached out, and brushed her fingers over the edge. "When I was little, I had dreams about this place. I didn't tell anyone because I thought I made it up. But the dreams were always the same. A girl in the crib, crying, always crying, and voices whispering to her through the walls. Goosebumps climbed my spine. What kind of voices? She turned to look at me, and I'll never forget the way her voice dropped when she said it. Our voices. A soft creak behind me made me spin. It was Aaron, stumbling through the doorway, pale and out of breath. "You guys. You just disappeared. 1 second you were in the mirror and the next. Where are we?" Marcus came in right behind her, camera still rolling, though his hands were shaking now. The 4 of us stood in the room, surrounded by silence, until a soft cry from the crib. Marcus whispered, "Nope, nope, that's where I draw the line." But none of us moved. The cry grew louder. Not a baby's cry. Not exactly. It was wrong, twisted, like a recording of a baby played backward, sped up and slowed down all at once. Then, it stopped. I stepped forward and looked into the crib. Empty, except for a single doll. Hand-stitched, eyes missing, mouth sewn shut with black thread. Pinned to its chest was a note. 1 word. "Remember." Suddenly, the floor shook. Not violently, just enough to feel like the house was waking up. Aaron grabbed my arm. "We need to go. We need to go now." I nodded, but Tasha didn't move. She was staring at the wall behind the crib, her lips moving, whispering, repeating something over and over under her breath. Marcus slowly panned the camera toward her. "What is she saying?" I leaned closer and realized she was saying a name, over and over. "Alara, Alara, Alara." "Who is Alara?" Aaron asked. Tasha blinked. And for a second, just a second, I saw something behind her eyes. Not fear. Recognition. She lived here, Tasha said. A long time ago. Her parents locked her in this room. They said she was sick. But it wasn't sickness. It was something else. She started hearing things. Seeing things. I glanced at the crib again. And the house kept her. Tasha nodded. But it didn't just keep her. She said slowly. It grew around her. Fed on her. And when she finally died, she turned to look at all of us. She didn't leave. The door behind us slammed shut. The lights flickered. And the whispers came back. Louder than ever. Except this time, they weren't just calling names. They were laughing. The door behind us slammed shut with such force it rattled the crib. Dust fell from the ceiling like ash. The temperature dropped again, this time sharp enough to bite skin. Erin was already pulling at the knob. It won't open, she said, voice rising. It's stuck. Jamie, it won't open. Marcus pressed himself to the wall, camera still running, though barely steady now. What is this? What the hell is this? Tasha didn't speak. She stared at the wall again. At the wallpaper, no, through it. I remember this room, she said again, softer now. But not from dreams. From before. I turned to her. Before what? She blinked, as if coming out of a trance. Before I was born. None of us spoke. The silence dragged. Long enough to hear it. The breathing. Slow. Labored. Not coming from any one direction. It was in the walls. The floor. The ceiling. Like the entire house had lungs and they were filling now for the first time in decades. The doll in the crib twitched. Not a movement you could call wind. Twitched. I stepped back, heart hammering. Then the whispers started again, closer. Not around us, but inside us. Each syllable slithered in our skulls, bypassing ears, clawing at thoughts. Words that didn't belong in any language we knew. Words that felt like they'd always been there, buried deep beneath memory. And that's when the light bulb in the ceiling burst. Sparks rained down. For a second, we were plunged into darkness. Then, a glow, red, faint, flickering from beneath the floorboards. Marcus aimed the camera at the floor. There's light coming through the cracks. And that's when the floor started to breathe. You read that right. Breathe. It rose and fell, slowly, like something massive was beneath it, pushing upward. Erin screamed and stumbled back into the rocking chair, which immediately began to creak on its own. Faster, louder. Tasha stepped to the center of the room, right over the name carved into the wood. Alara, she whispered. We know you're here. The glow intensified. And then, a voice. Not loud, not sharp, just there, like it had always been. Do you remember what you did? Tasha stiffened. So did I. That voice didn't come from any direction. It curled out of the air, laced with sorrow and fury, and it didn't sound like a child. It sounded ancient. Erin whispered, Who said that? Tasha didn't answer. I turned to her, but she was shaking now, one hand raised to her temple like it was splitting open from the inside. I didn't mean to, she murmured. I didn't know. Please, I didn't know. You called me. The air crackled. A wind howled out of nowhere, spinning dust and debris in a tight spiral around the crib. The doll lifted off the mattress and hung there, strings unraveling midair like something invisible was peeling it apart. Then the walls started to bleed. At first it looked like water, stains creeping through the floral wallpaper. But the smell said otherwise. Iron, rust, copper, blood. Marcus dropped the camera. I'm done, he said. I'm done. We're leaving. We're getting out. Even if I have to break that door down with my bare hands. But before he could move, the door opened. Not like a normal door, like a mouth, peeled back, hinges cracking, wood groaning open to reveal a corridor we hadn't seen before.
No wallpaper.
Just walls of mirror, and on each side, reflections of us, except not us, versions of us that were wrong, pale, wide-eyed, grinning. Erin took a step back.
No.
I'm not going in there. But Tasha was already walking. And this time, so was I, because I had to know. Who was Alara? What did this house want? Why did it call Tasha? And why, deep down, did I feel like a part of me had always belonged here? As we crossed the threshold, the mirror hallway closed behind us. And the whispers, they got louder, more familiar, because this time, they were using our own voices. The hallway of mirrors stretched longer than it should have. Every step echoed, not just beneath our feet, but behind the glass, like someone or something was walking in time with us on the other side. And the reflections, they weren't staying in sync. First, it was small things, a blink out of time, a twitch when we stood still. Then came the smiles, twisted, two wide grins that never reached the eyes. Erin was breathing hard. I can't, Jamie. I can't keep walking in here. I turned to answer her, but her reflection beat me to it, grinning even as her real face crumpled in fear. Tasha, Marcus said, his voice tight. Why are we here? Tasha didn't answer. She was staring straight ahead, like she knew what waited at the end. I looked too, a doorway, but this one wasn't framed in wood. It was black stone, carved with symbols that pulsed like veins. At the center, etched deep in the lintel, was that name again, Alara. Tasha reached out to touch it, and the second her fingers met stone, the walls shattered. Every mirror exploded inward, not with force, but intention. The shards hung midair, suspended like they were caught in a breath held too long. And then everything went white. When the light faded, we were standing in a new room. Massive, circular.
No windows, no doors.
Just candlelight and carvings on every surface. Spirals, eyes, mouth sewn shut. And in the center, a figure. A girl, maybe 10 years old. Skin pale gray, eyes pitch black. She was floating. Not high, just inches above the floor, but enough to make your body scream, "This is wrong," before your brain even caught up. Tasha stepped forward. Alara, she said like it was a greeting or an apology. The girl turned, but she didn't speak. The whispers did. You left me. I froze. They weren't just coming from Alara. They were inside all of us now, like something crawling through our minds, using our mouths, our fears, our guilt. Tasha fell to her knees. I didn't know. I didn't remember. But you were there. The candles flickered, and I saw it, images slamming into my mind like a film on fast forward. A ritual. Children in a circle, chanting. A girl, Alara, bound in place, crying. And Tasha, younger, different, but still her, watching. No leading. Oh my God. I whispered. You knew her, Erin said slowly, piecing it together. In another life, you did something to her. Tasha's face was pale as the candles. They said she could trap the darkness, that if we gave it a name and a vessel, it would stay locked away. They told me, I didn't think. You gave me the name. Alara's voice was her own now, not a whisper, a scream. And now you will take it back. The floor cracked beneath Tasha. A spiral opened, burning red and black, and tendrils of shadow shot upward, wrapping around her legs, arms, neck. Erin screamed. Marcus ran. But the shadows didn't touch anyone else. Only Tasha. Her eyes met mine. Jamie.
I'm sorry.
Then she was gone, swallowed whole by the floor. The spiral sealed. The room went dark. We woke up on the front lawn. The sun was rising. No sign of the house ever being awake. No blood, no breathing walls. Just a burned-out shell behind us, silent as a tomb. Marcus's camera? Fried. Erin? She wouldn't stop crying. And me? I stared at the front door, still cracked open, and realized something. Tasha had never been looking for answers. She had been returning, fulfilling a promise she'd made long ago. Not to save anyone, not to break a curse, but to take her place. Because the only thing worse than being haunted is being the one who deserves it.